All right, so today we're diving into something pretty unique.
Oh, yeah.
A personal diary entry about this retreat in Sweden.
A retreat, huh?
Yeah, it's called Kvarnen. It's in the Swedish woods, not exactly your average spa getaway.
Definitely sounds intriguing. So we're getting a first-hand account through this diary.
Exactly. It's like we're experiencing the retreat right alongside the writer, feeling all the anticipation and uncertainty.
Especially when they talk about arriving in complete darkness, using a flashlight to find their way.
Right. And there's even this chance encounter that leads them to the retreat in the first place. Adds this element of fate, almost.
I like that. So Kvarnen itself, it's a restored mill.
Yeah, judging by the pictures, it's got some history to it. Situated right next to a lake with a red mill building reflecting in the water.
Beautiful. And there's a separate black cottage, too. Almost looks like something out of a fairy tale.
There's even a hand-drawn map of the retreat adds to that rustic vibe.
Mm.
You can see the mill, the sauna tucked away in the trees, and a space labeled Vishnu.
Vishnu. I wonder if that's a workshop area or something.
I'm thinking the same thing. Definitely gives off a nature and introspection vibe.
For sure. So what are the diarist's first impressions?
They're definitely excited to be there, maybe even a little awed by the whole thing, especially the sleeping arrangements in the old mill house.
Sounds like it's been renovated for groups, but still has that old world charm.
Totally. And right from the start, there's a big emphasis on community. They had a name learning exercise to help everyone get comfortable.
Love that. Breaking the ice right away. Makes sense.
It seems like everything is intentionally designed to foster that sense of connection, even down to the food. Delicious vegan meals they all enjoyed together.
That communal aspect is so important. So let's dive into day one. What happens?
Well, I jump right into the workshops, starting with an icebreaker in the mill's upper room.
Can you imagine that space? High ceilings, exposed beams, views of the lake.
Sounds incredibly peaceful. I bet the environment itself plays a big part in the whole experience.
Absolutely. The diarist seems very connected to the natural beauty surrounding them.
Totally.
Yeah.
And then things get really interesting with the first workshop. They start exploring personal themes through this Vishnu figure.
I'm curious to hear more about that.
Me too. What's fascinating is how quickly they get to a deeper level. There's an exercise about longing and shame that leads to this really powerful shared experience.
That vulnerability is key. It's like Kvarnen creates a safe space to tap into those emotions and connect with others on a deeper level.
Definitely. So day two starts with morning practices in the mill room. Sunlight streaming through the windows.
Ah, I can picture it.
The diarist specifically mentions the interplay of light and nature, adding to that serene atmosphere.
It's like they're intentionally weaving the natural world into every aspect of the retreat.
Exactly. Then they introduce this drink called golden milk.
Golden milk. Never heard of it.
It's described as this warming, comforting drink. It seems to hold a special significance at the retreat.
Interesting. Makes you think about the power of ritual and how something as simple as a shared drink can create a sense of connection.
Absolutely. They continue with more of those authentic relating exercises, including the hand-pressing one we talked about earlier.
Oh, yeah, right?
Yeah.
A physical way to explore boundaries and consent.
Exactly. A crucial concept in a group setting.
Definitely. Then they have a free afternoon to process and integrate everything.
That unstructured time is probably just as important. Allows for reflection and a chance to reconnect with themselves.
Yeah, finding that balance between external and internal is key. But the day isn't over yet. They have a physical workshop called a loving fight.
Okay, now that sounds intriguing. How do you combine physicality with love?
Right, it's like a paradox. It definitely pushes them out of their comfort zones, which seems to be a recurring theme.
For sure. In the evening, they each bring a meaningful artifact representing a significant memory.
Bringing the personal into the collective.
Exactly, linking past experiences to the present moment. Then Anders, one of the retreat leaders, guides them through a meditation on their own funeral.
Wow, that's intense.
I can only imagine the emotions that surface during that exercise.
It's a powerful way to confront mortality and think about what truly matters in life.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Not in a morbid way, but as a way to live more intentionally.
Exactly. And they end the day gathered around a bonfire.
Such a fitting way to process all those intense emotions and connect on a more casual level.
A nice way to wind down after such a heavy day.
There's even a moment where one participant apologizes for something said earlier. Shows the sensitivity within the group.
It speaks to that safe space they've cultivated at Kvarnen, where people feel comfortable being vulnerable and apologizing.
Absolutely.
So day 3 kicks off with Tai Chi in the courtyard.
Focusing on that mind-body connection through breath.
Another way to ground themselves in the present moment.
Exactly. It's like each activity builds on the last, creating this layered experience.
They're exploring all these different facets of themselves, physical, emotional, spiritual.
And seeing how it all connects.
Right.
Exactly.
Then they have a solo walk in the woods, this time focusing on listening to nature's wisdom and cultivating gratitude.
Alone, but still connected to the natural world.
Interesting contrast. And the diarist mentions finding a tiny mushroom that looked like a flower.
A small detail, but it speaks volumes about their awareness.
It really does. And they connect that experience back to gratitude, appreciating the simple beauty around them.
There's always space for joy and wonder, right?
Sure.
Even in the midst of intense self-exploration.
Absolutely. And speaking of joy, they have a musical interlude next. A moment of shared singing and lightheartedness.
A bit of a release after all the deep work.
Makes sense. A reminder that joy and connection are essential parts of the human experience.
Definitely. And then they head to the sauna. But this is no ordinary sauna.
Oh, what makes it so special?
It's built high up in the treetops.
You're kidding? That's amazing.
I know, right? And Finn, one of the retreat leaders, guides them through a sauna ritual with themes of earth equality and love.
It's fascinating how they infuse even the sauna with deeper meaning.
Right. It's not just about physical cleansing. It's a symbolic act tied to the retreat's values.
I love that. And the diarist points out all these thoughtful details about the sauna. The shelter on top, the way it's nestled in the trees.
It's like a sanctuary within a sanctuary.
And then they bathe under a waterfall in the dark.
Talk about an immersive experience.
It seems like Kvarnen is all about pushing those boundaries and embracing the unexpected.
Absolutely. And the surprises keep coming. After the sauna, they gather for a cocoa ritual.
A cocoa ritual? What's that all about?
It involves carefully handling the drink and incorporating personal reflections.
Interesting. They're engaging all the senses. It's a truly holistic experience.
And then comes a free-form dance journey led by Elsbeth, another member of the retreat team.
A beautiful way to express themselves non-verbally.
The diarist even reflects on their own comfort and discomfort with this kind of dance, acknowledging their personal barriers.
That honesty is refreshing, especially in a diary entry where they could easily just focus on the positive.
Totally. It shows a genuine commitment to self-awareness. So that brings us to the final day of the retreat.
I'm eager to hear how it all culminates and what lasting impact it has.
Me too. It feels like there's been a powerful transformation taking place.
Definitely. I wonder how they'll integrate these experiences back into their everyday life.
That's the big question, isn't it?
It is. How do you take these profound insights and make them stick when you return to your routine?
Right, because it's easy to get swept up in the retreat environment and then lose that momentum.
Exactly. So day 4 starts with them reflecting on what they're taking with them and how they'll integrate it into their daily lives.
They have a sharing session to brainstorm practical strategies.
It's about bridging that gap between the retreat and the real world.
And then there's the karma yoga practice.
Oh, yeah, I read about that.
It's not just about receiving, but giving back to the retreat space.
Reinforces that sense of community and shared responsibility.
Exactly. And then comes the closing ceremony, which is really unique.
How so?
Instead of traditional goodbyes, they go around and offer their hand to someone they want to express gratitude to.
Interesting. So it's a silent acknowledgement of appreciation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the other person doesn't have to respond. It creates this flow of gratitude without the pressure of reciprocation.
I like that. It's a more authentic expression.
And then they're encouraged to leave without lingering, to carry the experience with them rather than clinging to those final moments.
A powerful way to transition back to their lives.
The diarist even mentions smelling their sauna towel that night and feeling a wave of peace wash over them.
A tangible reminder of the transformation.
This whole experience sounds incredible. From the setting to the workshops to the rituals.
It's also carefully curated.
Right. It's not just a random collection of activities. There's a clear intention behind every aspect.
And they're engaging all the senses, the sights and sounds of nature, the taste of those vegan meals, the touch of the hand-pressing exercise.
The warmth of the golden milk, the scent of the sauna oils.
It's a full-body immersion into a different way of being.
And it's not just about personal growth. It's about building genuine connections with others.
The diarist repeatedly talks about that sense of community and the depth of the relationships formed.
It seems like Kvarnen provides this space where people feel safe enough to be vulnerable and truly connect.
It makes you wonder how we can bring some of those elements into our own lives.
Right. How can we cultivate more mindfulness, connection, and intentionality in our everyday experiences?
That's a great question. Maybe it's about incorporating rituals that ground us.
Or creating space for authentic relating with the people in our lives.
Or simply being more present and appreciative of the beauty around us.
I think there's a lot we can learn from this deep dive into Kvarnen.
It's a reminder that transformation is possible and that even small shifts can make a big difference.
You know, thinking about the sauna ritual,
Hmm.
the diarist mentioned Finn talking about how it was bolted into the trees.
Right, I remember that.
And because of the tree's growth, it was never perfectly level. They had to adjust it every so often.
And that resonated with the diarist as an important lesson.
What do you think that lesson could be?
Well, for me, it speaks to this idea of constant evolution, Like we need to adapt and recalibrate to stay grounded as things around us change.
I like that. Like that sauna, we have to adjust to stay balanced.
Exactly. It highlights that impermanence. Nothing stays the same, and we have to learn to flow with those changes.
And even in that impermanence, there's still beauty and connection to be found.
Beautifully said. It's like finding those moments of warmth and respite, even as everything shifts around us.
What really stood out to you? What was your most insightful moment?
I keep coming back to that loving fight workshop.
Me too.
Yeah.
Such a fascinating concept.
It really challenges our perception of conflict, doesn't it?
It does. How do you engage in a physical challenge while maintaining respect and love?
Right. It's a real paradox. Maybe it's about finding that balance between assertiveness and compassion.
Even in moments of disagreement.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that healthy boundaries and clear communication can actually strengthen our connections.
And help us navigate those challenges with more grace.
It's a concept worth exploring further, for sure.
This whole deep dive has given me a lot to think about.
Me too.
It's not just about the specific activities at Kvarnen, but the principles behind them.
Like mindfulness, authenticity, connection.
And a deep respect for ourselves and the natural world.
Absolutely. It's an invitation to bring those qualities into our own lives.
In ways that feel authentic to us.
Maybe it's starting a gratitude practice or being more intentional about the spaces we create for connection.
Or just spending more time in nature noticing those small details.
And maybe it's about embracing that impermanence, knowing that things will change and finding ways to adapt.
Just like that sauna adjusting to the growth of the trees.
Beautifully put. It's a powerful reminder that transformation is an ongoing journey.
This deep dive into Kvarnen has been truly eye-opening.
I agree.
It's like I got to experience someone else's transformation firsthand.
And gain some valuable insights for our own lives.
As we wrap up, what will you take away from this exploration of Kvarnen? What resonated with you the most? Until next time, keep exploring, keep connecting, and keep diving deep